Talk about this report here. Chinese missile could shift Pacific power balance. With that, I'm going to take a breath, pause, take this phone call. Hello.
Hi, how are you, Alex?
Good evening.
Well, hey, I was wondering, do you think a plane really crashed into the Pentagon?
Well, that's not exactly tonight's subject matter, but I do welcome anyone to call in with any questions or statements. First of all, what's your thought on the situation and why?
Well, I'm just so charmed by all your intelligence, I just wanted to ask you that question.
No, we can talk about 9/11 and how this relates to this, because there are some people that have some theories that no planes crashed into the Twin Towers. I don't subscribe to that, but the Pentagon is a different situation. All you got to do is ask to see the footage. All you got to do is take a look at the fact that the Pentagon took the surveillance footage from the Pentagon gas station across the street. And, of course, we have the situation with Rumsfeld moving his office to the other end of the Pentagon. That part of the Pentagon that was struck by this potential missile was under construction during that time period. There was also some interesting aircraft that has not yet to this day been identified, some black planes that were flying way up high above the Pentagon. So there's a lot of unanswered questions about 9/11, and that's a very important one.
Okay, well, thank you. And then I guess basically back to your topic you were talking about is, so the biorhythm effect too on the human body has got to be probably really severe as well too, right?
Yeah, and I've had deeper dream states, especially the last year. And I can definitely also see some positive effects of these changes. But stress levels, folks, when you find yourself in an argument or upset or depressed, ask yourself what's going on cosmically, astrologically, in terms of also solar events. I've also met a lot of astrologers that have no knowledge of even what solar maximum is. It's kind of sad. I would think that more people in astrology would be really interested in things like solar maximum. So when I meet people in astrology, I bounce some of these ideas off of them, share some information, and I don't have the whole picture figured out. I don't. But I know that there's a lot of really interesting pieces of info that tie together, and I think we're going to have an even greater understanding by this time next year.
Well, thank you very much. You have a true talent, and we really appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you for your call. And my life's been really stressful lately, folks. I've shared situations about how I don't have a stable place to live. I've got $20 in the bank account. But this is what I do, and this is what brings me pleasure. And I'm so grateful to my higher power, the universe, for making this facility possible. So different ideas, different expressions of thought can be shared with millions of people. And all of my videos combined have been watched millions of times on Google Video, on YouTube, especially Google Video. A lot of my old videos are still there. Some interviews have 200,000 views. The one I did with David Icke, the one I did with Aaron Russo, the one I did with Alex Jones. And so it's not me teaching all these people what's going on. It's also me learning from them. It's not about one person knowing the larger picture, but constantly sharing information. When I was a kid, I played with puzzles. I skipped school, folks, and went to Pal's Books to learn something real. I went to the Multnomah County Library, Central Library, third floor. God, man, I could spend hours in there. That was fun. I didn't play video games. I went to the theater every now and then. But puzzles, that's what I was attracted to when I was 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And I started reading about spirituality and meditation and Buddhism when I was 12, 13, before I got into any of this stuff. So follow your dreams. Follow your gut instinct. When something's telling you, investigate this. There's truth here. And it doesn't mean other people are going to understand it. Boy, I know there's a lot of Christians that watch this show, and I love all of you, all the Muslims that watch this show, all the atheists, all the New Agers. I love you all. But I'm not going to stand up here and tell you this is what it is unless you say a certain amount of words, unless you click your heels together 3 times and say there's no place like home. No, I don't believe it works that way. And I don't believe that truth is that concrete, that one book can explain the whole mysteries of the universe. I believe that's our job. And we're doing that right now. We'll take some more phone calls, 503-288-4442. It's just information. And so there's a lot of stuff I talk about that a lot of people don't agree with. You don't have to, and I'm not telling you that you do. Take what you want, what you find to be relevant, and leave the rest that does not apply. Chinese missile could shift Pacific power balance. Well, let's go back to this one. China to hold large-scale Air Force drill. So I've been talking like every week about this buildup in the Yellow Sea and the South China Sea. USS George Washington, the largest naval aircraft carrier, is moving closer to Beijing at this time in response to the situation with North Korea. China's Air Force has just begun a 5-day exercise on Tuesday with fighter jets, spy planes, and helicopters. By the way, there's a lot of fighter jets that are flying above Portland at this time. Against a backdrop of increased diplomatic and military tensions with Washington. Chinese media has announced several military drills over the past few weeks, including that of naval forces. Such events are normally shrouded in secrecy and little reported on, but the military has recently said it is trying to be more open. By the way, China said they were going to launch a English news channel, and they actually just moved in their offices in Times Square 3 weeks ago. The increased activity comes as China and the U.S. have argued over joint U.S.-South Korean drills in the seas off South Korea and coincides with Beijing's anger at U.S. comments about a sensitive territorial dispute in the South China Sea. The new drills, featuring more than 12,000 soldiers, will take place across the central province of Henan, an eastern coastal province of Shandong, which backs onto the Yellow Sea. Part of the Vanguard 2010 exercises will take place at night. And this is the next report, which ties in with this. Chinese missile could shift Pacific power balance. Nothing projects U.S. global air and sea power more vividly than super carriers, bristling with fighter jets that can reach deep into even landlocked trouble zones. America's virtually invincible carrier fleet has long enforced its dominance of the high seas. China may soon put an end to that. U.S. naval planners are scrambling to deal with what analysis say is a game-changing weapon being developed by China, an unprecedented carrier-killing missile called the Dongfeng 21D, that could be launched from land with enough accuracy to penetrate the defenses of even the most advanced moving aircraft carrier at a distance of more than 900 miles. Analysts say final testing of the missile could come as soon as the end of this year, though questions remain about how fast China will be able to perfect its accuracy to the level needed to threaten a moving carrier at sea. It came out in the news 2 months ago that Obama approved a new missile, a new U.S. missile, that can actually strike any target on the planet in less than an hour. Not to mention all the space weapons that they've been launching like crazy, which is something the government's concerned about. Solar maximum, affecting satellites, and in my opinion, weapons of war. Just to continue to tie all of this together, you need to start asking yourself the question, why is the History Channel, why are some of the other cable news programs, many documentaries on TV, discussing 2012 in the context of the end of the world? Because they're programming us to fear the future and where we're going to go from here on out. That's not to say we don't have things to be concerned about. Genetically modified food, stage wars, economic crashes, forced vaccinations, released viruses. It doesn't mean that we're not challenged as humans living on this planet that we choose to call Earth. But the end of the world? I don't think so. But when the media puts that message out there, and I mentioned 2012 or sunspots, 90 to 95% of the people out there tell me to not talk about it, that it's not the end of the world, as if I'm saying it's the end of the world. They're actually not even understanding the words that are coming out of my mouth.